So hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Anna Bryce, and I am the VP of Programming at AMA Phoenix, and we are thrilled to have you all here. And I know there's more still coming, but welcome. We are thrilled to have Shailesh Ghimire join us once again. He is a great friend of the AMA, and I'm kind of taking advantage of the fact that we're still on virtual webinars, and because Shailesh has moved away from us from Phoenix, so I'm taking advantage of being able to have him as a speaker and not be physically, in our town. So welcome, Shailesh. We're looking forward to your presentation. Adapt your SEO strategy to master Google's latest core update. So some real quick housekeeping, and then we will get started. We would like to thank our sponsors. As always, we're just so thankful to have these sponsors with us feels like every year. They help us do what we do and be able to present the programming that we do. So specific, I would like to thank Made Better Studios, April Holly, who's on the line here, and also Financial Potion, Taylor Wellman, who is our host. So I do encourage that if you have any video needs, please feel free to contact Taylor Wellman. If you need her contact information, send me an email and I'd be happy to give you her contact info. And then lastly, we would like to thank our supporters, and these are the companies that employ our board members. And again, our board members do a ton of work, and we're so thankful for them, and we're thankful that they have supportive companies. So let's just get right into introducing Shailesh. We've had him speak on a couple of different topics, on Google Analytics, on Google Ads, and on Facebook ads. And he and I were having a conversation, and he was talking to me about Google's core updates and how it's been affecting people's website traffic, whether they know it or not. So we thought this was an important topic to bring to people right now, very timely. Shailesh is from New Wine Digital, which is a full-service digital marketing and advertising agency. He's an SEO specialist. He's a digital marketing specialist, PPC, content marketing, digital ads. So if you have any really pressing digital needs, please consider talking to Shailesh. So Shailesh, I want to welcome you, and I want to say thank you once again for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time to be with us.
Of course. Thank you, Anna. I really appreciate it. And Taylor and everybody and Karen. And there are familiar faces. I know that you have your videos turned off, but I see names that I recognize. So I'm really glad that you're able to make it. So anyway, my name is Shailesh, and what I've noticed after presentations is people will hesitate to talk to me because they can't really pronounce my name very well. So I put this little slider as a way to kind of help you understand. It rhymes with stylish. So, and I'm not as stylish as Ben Stiller, as Zoolander, but just to kind of give you a little bit of a trigger as to how to pronounce my name. Anyway, so just kind of giving you a little bit of a help there. I'm with New Wine Digital. New Wine Digital is a full-service digital agency that was founded in 2012 by my lovely wife. And so I joined in 2017, been with them for 4.5 years now. It's been fun doing digital marketing from home before COVID. So now everybody's used to working from home, but now being a virtual agency, people don't really question you as they used to before COVID. So there are some, I guess I'm not going to make light of the situation, but there are some positives coming out of COVID for us. So I do want to get a little bit of a sense for about you. So any volunteers on maybe, are they allowed to share, Taylor? Maybe a little bit about, I'd like to get a sense for who all's in the audience and for kind of the kind of businesses that we're talking about.
Yes, feel free to either put it in the chat box, what your industry is, or if you're feeling brave, go ahead and turn your camera on, put your microphone on and let us know. I always like to say too that you're allowed to volunteer on some people. If you want to go ahead and
Okay.
shout out some people, feel free to do that too.
Okay. I don't know who to call out.
So what I'm seeing here, we have a lot of marketers on here.
Okay.
We have a couple of agencies, Acre Inc. and Print is there. We have a logistics company,
Okay,
a flooring company. We have a multicultural marketing company. We have a B2B marketing company. Banner Health is here. Eric is a dental organization, a dental company,
Okay.
a staffing company, a
Great.
website company.
Okay, so quite a variety. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, usually when I do these in person, we've usually gone around the room, Anna, if you remember, and just kind of picked out a few people just so we can talk a little bit about your business as we go along. But unfortunately, with Zoom, it's not always as possible that possible. So today, what I will do is I want to make sure everybody has a baseline understanding of what we went through this summer. But before I do that, I do want to make sure that we're all on the same page in terms of the value of SEO. I think it'll just help us revisit that a little bit. And then also understand some of the SEO stats, update you a little bit on where we are with that. And then some of the fundamentals of what is involved in SEO, because making sense of the core update really we need to make sure that you have a really good understanding of the fundamentals. Then I'll share with you the core update, at least what we saw. It's not like, I'll be upfront with you, Google doesn't really publish anything that says these are the core updates. You have to kind of infer based on what you see and what has happened to different sites and what other people are saying in like Search Engine Journal or some of the other resources that we tap into. And then some of the key takeaways, at least from our end. I do want to give a shout out to Ashley Dunn. She is our SEO guru at New Wine, and she's actually on the call as well, Anna. So I just wanted to kind of let you know that this isn't a one-person effort here. So Ashley plays a pretty big role in our company and just kind of make sure that we have all the latest and greatest. And I know she's on, so I just want to make sure that her a shout out as well. So
I did see Ashley and welcome Ashley, and I figured that she might be chiming in where needed too. So terrific.
All right, great. So in terms of SEO, I like to, if you've been around me enough, you know that I like to say that SEO is like joining the gym. And what I mean by that is every business I talk to wants to do SEO. They want to be on the front page. They want to, show up, and they understand the value of it, just like everybody understands the value of joining the gym. Most people I talk to say they want to, exercise regularly. They want to eat right, they want to be healthy. But really, if you want that summer, August body in January, you gotta work out, right? You gotta join the gym. You gotta go and work out 3 to 4 times a week, and you gotta apply yourself all the way through. Otherwise, August is going to show up, and you'll still have the January body and not the August, the summer body, right? So I mean, this is the closest example I found that makes business owners and marketers really understand what it takes to do SEO. And so it's a consistent process. But in terms of the value, what we've seen, most people that we work with, and this is validated, some of these numbers are from Search Engine Journal. Most companies' top source of traffic is organic traffic. SEO gives a lot of people trust and credibility. A lot of people will say, well, we don't really get business from SEO. Well, people check you out. We're all playing PI at some point, right? Whether that new person we meet at a business networking meeting, or that landscaper guy that just said that they do landscaping, we're checking people out online, right? Or is it just me? I mean, we're checking people out. We're Googling them, we're Facebooking them, we're seeing what they do on Instagram or on LinkedIn. We check people out. I mean, we don't go to a meeting cold anymore. You know, so I think SEO is one of those things that you got to show up on those rankings for trust and credibility. What we found is local SEO. If you're a local business and you have good local SEO, it brings increased engagement and conversions. And another thing that we are finding that a lot of people don't appreciate is SEO allows you to impact every stage of the buying cycle, whether they're just dipping their toes in or they're ready to buy and they need to read a couple of reviews. Your whole web strategy needs to play into all those parts, right? And also, I mean, I'm not saying that SEO is cheap, but it's very cost effective, and you can achieve a lot of things through SEO if you do it well. Some stats I just want to kind of share with you guys is, you know, 53% of a site's traffic on average comes from SEO, organic traffic. 32% is the average click-through rate of the first ranking on Google. It actually speaks to the strength of the algorithm more than anything else, the relevancy. And it's 27% on mobile devices. And this number just blew me away because I just checked it recently. I hadn't checked it in a while. Google is at 92% market share, which 10 years ago, when I was giving presentations like this, they were at 55, 60%, and their jaw would drop. Not 92. I don't know where your jaw is. I don't know if it's below the floor or where it's at, but they're a behemoth. And then nearly 1 in 3 search terms is tied to a location. So doctor near me, landscaper near me, or whatever it is that people are searching. And then the average search query has 3 words in it. So just keep that in mind. A lot of business owners will say they want to rank for, you know, landscaping, but, you know, nobody searches landscaping, right? People search for best landscaper near me or landscaping company that does sprinklers or whatever it is. And then 8% of queries is tied to a question. And this is very important because you need to take advantage of that. Blog posts, articles written as question and answers. So anyway, so those are some interesting things to just, you know, keep in mind. In terms of the fundamentals, and the reason why I'm going over this is because there's implications for the core update. We break down SEO into 3 major categories. You have the strategy and foundation part, which a lot of people want to skip over, but you shouldn't. Understanding your audience, making sure that your research, your keyword is relevant to your audience, your user intent. So just having a keyword isn't always important, but also trying to anticipate that user intent. What else might they search? Why would they be searching that? You know, things like that are very important. Analytics. I'm a math major in college, so to me, it's like I'm glad marketing has analytics, because if marketing didn't have analytics, I don't think I'd be employed. You know, so just putting that out there. And then on-page technical, Google does prioritize mobile pages over non-mobile pages. So mobile, you know, I don't think we need to talk about this too much, but that was back in 2018 when they put out the mobile as the first ranking order. Crawling and indexing, a little bit technical. There's the technical side of the SEO, tags, site speed, coding, JavaScript. And I bring that up because your CMS impacts your on-page technical. So if your CMS does not allow you to do some of these things, then you're going to be at a disadvantage. So you need to have a CMS that basically allows you to make those kind of tweaks and those kind of changes. And I'm not trying to say anything bad about anybody's CMSs, but there are people that are on CMSs that don't allow you to do things like that. And they're always scratching their heads going, why is their page not ranking well, or things like that? Well, it's not all of the factor, but it's some of the factors, right? And then on-page content is king, as Bill Gates said back in 96 or 97, whenever he uttered those words. Content is king. So content and backlinks, very important as well. In terms of the strategy and the foundation, again, I think I went over this already, so I won't belabor the points here. Let's see here. So on-page content, okay, we talked about that. And then also optimizing by asking questions. In this slide, you'll see answers are 1 kilometer away. That's 0.6 miles, if you're wondering, you know, how much that is in miles. But we also spend with all of those factors of SEO, you can't just finish all that stuff and then just let it go. You do need to ask a lot of questions. So here are some questions that we ask on a regular basis. How much traffic comes from organic search? Very important to keep track of that. If you start to see dips and fluctuations, it gives you clues. How much referral traffic, how much traffic comes from referrals, kind of get a little bit of a balance on that. Are there any pages that aren't getting traffic and why? That's a good question to ask as you go through analytics. How have rankings changed over time? You do need to keep track of how the rankings are changing for your site. And we do this for our clients on a regular basis. How many new links has the site earned? Google Search Console can help you with that. What is my best performing content, least performing? Lots of clues there, which we spend a lot of time trying to figure out, what content is ranking well, what is not. All of these questions are important because, like I said, the core update impacted a lot of these things. And how many visitors are converting? A lot of people don't even define their conversion events, but it's very important to keep that in mind as well. Sometimes it's a page read, sometimes it's a phone call, sometimes it's a form fill, but those are all things that you need to keep in track as well. How has the site grown and changed since launch? Sometimes your site does grow, architectures change, pages change, page hierarchies change, indexing changes, things like that. There are sometimes content that's cannibalizing each other. We don't even know that's happening. So just trying to keep that in mind as well. So all that to say, the value of SEO, if you do SEO right, this is a client of ours that, if you do it right, you will see a gradual upward slope. This is a 2-year time horizon for one of our clients. Like I said, this is August body. This is not January body, right? This is after consistently working out, consistently doing what we're telling you to do, and also applying yourself. So that's kind of an overview of it. I just want to make sure, because I know not everybody spends as much time as Ashley and I do on SEO. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody has a good understanding of it before we go into the Google Core Update. So, the Google Core Update, like I said before, it's not like they published a list of things and said, this is what we're updating. They do updates quite frequently. There are algorithm tweaks happening constantly on their search algorithm. So it's nothing new. But in terms of a core update, they do update their core algorithm fairly regularly. From the history that we were able to track, they do it every few months. The last one was December of 2020, before this summer, and then the one before that was in May of 2020. So those are big updates that do get rolled out. Something to keep in mind, they're so big, 92% of search goes through Google. So it's not like they're gonna just turn on the switch and the algorithm update happens overnight. It's in different stages, different countries, different user levels, different, they track you so much, and they know everything about you, so they can really phase this out. So some people might not see it, some people might see it. And then they also have the capability to be able to apply updates to sites depending on categories and industries and locations. So it's not a broad stroke core update. You have to keep in mind that they're able to really hone in their update on different categories and different areas and different things, right? So the June 16th update was more on the page experience update. So depending on how the SERP page is, and I'll go over that a little bit. That's one of our key learnings is focusing on the SERP update. So different areas of the pages were tweaked. And then the June 28th and 30th, which really rolled out in July, was more of an anti-spam update, because if you notice, sometimes spammy sites do get through their algorithm, and sometimes you get weird search results from irrelevant searches and things like that. So they did try to clean that up a little bit as well. So that's what the two updates were. What we noticed is the July 1 and then the July 26 as it rolled through is they were really attacking domain crowding, and I'll go over that a little bit by giving you some examples, and then so that's one thing. And then the other thing is they were also experimenting with people also ask queries, because they're also trying to make your search experience relevant. So if you're, like I said, 8% of the traffic is people asking questions. So if I put in, a lawn, I'm going to use landscaping just because I've been working on my yard a lot. So I've been Googling a lot about lawnmowers and sprinklers. So I just figured that would be a good relevant thing. But, like if you did a search for, your sprinkler system's out, then other people have also asked, certain things about your sprinkler systems, then they're kind of adding those search queries as well. And what we found is there's a very high variability in terms of what your search screen looks like and what my search screen looks like and what other people's search screen looks like. And also depending on the kind of queries you have, how variable the search screen is. So they're really attacking their whole search experience in these core updates, and that's affecting your traffic. And then we do a fair amount of work with medical websites. There was a big, maybe it's their push towards cleaning up maybe COVID-related searches or vaccine searches or whatever it is, but there was a major cleanup on medical or medic-related search terms as well. And so we do a lot of work with dental sites and with veterinary clinics and vet dentists and things like that. And so we saw a pretty big impact in their search traffic. But then on sites that we did not, that is not medical related, we didn't see an impact at all. So anyway, so there is that element to it as well. And then spam update, I can't really add anything to it because none of our sites are spammy. We're dealing with real businesses and things like that. So I think these are directory sites, product comparison sites, sites that are doing, generic, aggregation of different content pieces, maybe a doc shop or something like that, or directories that are really heavily taking advantage of the algorithm and trying to rank higher than local businesses. I think they were kind of attacking those as well. So anyway, going back to the domain crowding and also to people also ask and medic sites, what I'll do is I'll kind of go through, this is our learning. So this is just basic what we found. So what we found is the SERP page is extremely, what I mean by SERP is the search engine results page. The search engine results page, I mean, those of us that maybe started doing work in SEO and marketing in the late 90s, in my mind, the search engine page, results page is a very simple page with a search query at the top and results at the bottom. But if you look at what Google has done in the last, I guess, few years, just to kind of cynically saying, make money, you do a search for something like sprinkler systems and you get ads, right? These are all Google ads. These are the first set of links. And then on the right-hand side, there's the shopping ads, right? So the paid ads and shopping ads are pretty much right there. I mean, that takes up so much real estate. And then they added this section over here. You may or may not see it all the time, but when I did my search, I found it, right? People also ask. So that also seems to take quite a bit of space in your search, in your results page as well. And then if you happen to be searching for something local, you also have the map pack results that has all the details. The first one obviously is an ad. And then you have the map pack results there. Then you also have the business page, which I didn't really show there. But what I mean by domain crowding is that if you do a really good job on your SEO, there is an opportunity for you to show up on here, to show up on your map pack, and then also to show up in your product comparisons, and also in your top stories, which I wasn't able to capture here, and also in your organic linkings, right? So the same domain could be showing up in all these different areas because you're just following Google's recommendations. You're doing everything well, you're doing everything right, and the algorithm is picking it up naturally, right? And you're not doing anything illegal, you're not doing anything bad, but you're doing it well and you're showing up everywhere. And so that's what we mean by domain crowding, is just your domain showing up in all these different areas. I guess as a business owner, as a marketer, that's good, right? But I think Google is saying that that may not be good, because unlike them, who gets to dominate search 92%, they don't want one business or one marketing person to dominate their search page. I guess they want to give people different variety of options and just increase the chance of relevancy for businesses and for different people. And so they really did hone in on domain crowding. So if you're showing up on People Also Ask, you're not showing up on MapPack. Maybe if you're showing up on the MapPack, you're not showing up on the organic side and things like that. So that's something that we did definitely see as a big part of the algorithm update. There was also, in terms of organic, what we also noticed is organic is now interlaced with all of these different elements. I wasn't able to get a screenshot that really showed it, but my landscaping search actually had it. So the top of the page was all these shopping ads. Then after that showed People Also Ask. And then there was the map pack listing. And then after that, there was some popular product comparisons. And then there was the actual organic results, right? So which begs the question, when people say you rank #1 or you rank #2, where the heck are you actually ranking? Are you showing up in the People Ask section? Are you showing up in the map pack? What does Google #1 even mean anymore? You know what I mean? And when you're doing organic searches and when people, these organic searches are interlaced. Sometimes they'll have 2 or 3 of them between different elements. There'll be the People Also Ask inserted in between sometimes and things like that. So it's not always easy to see and easy to know where your organic ranking is. And so that's kind of where our main observation was, because what we observed and learned, I'll show you an impact for one of our clients, is that actually caused a 30% drop for one of our clients. And this is a client that receives, I want to say, 45 to 50,000 visitors a month on their website. So that's a big, substantial drop. And so that's, I think I talked to Anna maybe right after that drop. So that's why, that's why there was that panic mode in my voice. I'd seen this, we'd also seen this with some of our other medical sites as well. And so we started digging. So when we came up with the whole domain crowding thing, it started to make sense to us in terms of what they're doing. And also because this was a medical site, we also noticed that, that medical was also an impact, was also making an impact. And then also the People Also Ask was also making an impact as well. Because the traffic drop that we saw, this is a pretty big traffic drop. You'd associate that with either you lost your rankings or whatever, but all the ranking calculations and all the rankings tracking that we were doing, we weren't seeing a drop in our rankings at all, at least in the measures that in everything that we were measuring. The keyword rankings remain consistent. Our blog terms were still ranking well, right? All of our rankings and everything was consistent. We were 1 and 2 on a lot of the terms, but still every time we logged into Google Analytics, we saw that. It's a pretty big drop, right? So it's like, what the heck, right? So that's the only thing that we could start to think about is the domain. They were still giving us #1, #2 ranking on a lot of our terms, but the number of places we were showing up was reduced. And so as a result of that, because we weren't showing up in People Also Ask, because we weren't showing up in the map pack, and because we weren't showing up in some of the other places that we were normally showing up, our traffic was falling, but our keyword ranking was still the same. So that was a pretty big observation for us. So that kind of made us realize that the core updates, you don't necessarily. That's why I adapted I changed my title a little bit. You may not need to adapt your SEO strategy necessarily in terms of what you're doing. What you don't want to do is you don't need to panic when something like this happens. You don't need to panic at all. There's really nothing that you're doing. It's not an attack on your website. At the beginning, it was very tempting to think that we missed something, that maybe we missed an update, maybe we missed, maybe something that we were doing was black hat or something like that. But what we found is Google does reward good SEO behavior. We're doing all the stuff that I mentioned earlier to you. we do things by the book. We're always, you know, trying to figure out what maybe the latest strategies are and what the latest things are, but we're never doing anything that's outside of their guidelines or what they're trying to say. We are always trying to make sure that the website is easily accessible and well organized, accessible for the search bot, not just the user, right? So the search bot needs to be able to crawl through everything easily, not get any page 404 errors, not be redirected too many times, not have those simple things, you know, things like that happen, not have JavaScript that kind of slows down the bot crawling through your site, not having page load issues and things like that. So if it's accessible, and then serve relevant content, authoritative content, you know, just do everything that that they're telling you to do. Quality is still king. And then what we also realize is you got to continue maintaining your expertise and maintaining the content that's relevant for your audience. And then what I realize is we are completely at the mercy of Google, right? We can talk about SEO, we can talk about all the content, all the stuff that we're doing. I don't work for Google. None of our clients work for Google. I don't know how they write their algorithms. We're completely at the mercy of what they do in terms of their algorithm changes and things like that. So when even if you do see a 30% drop in traffic, I mean, honestly, I mean, don't get me wrong. We're trying to do everything we can, but at the end of the day, there's only so much that you can do and so much that you can infer from it. It's their algorithm, it's their product, it's their search listing pages, right? So I just want to make sure that I'm not coming across as flippant or anything like that, but I'm just trying to be honest with you as somebody that works in the industry, that what we found is there's very little clues in terms of all the direct things that you can do. Google always continues to refer you back to when they did the penguin and the panda update back in 2011, 2012. Just go back to what we said then. Literally, that's what their people say. There's really not a lot of information in terms of direct information in terms of what they tell you. But if you continue to do SEO by the book in terms of all the stuff that I just mentioned to you, that's all you can do. I mean, there's really not much else that you can really do at that point. So anyway, so that's kind of what we learned. I know that we still have some time. We have about 15-20 minutes that I wanted to leave for question and answer. So I can answer questions, or if you have anything to share, we can make it a little bit of a community experience. I don't know if you saw anything like that on your end. I know that we certainly had a few days here where I don't know if Ashley was panicking, but I know I was panicking. So in terms of trying to understand. So it's September. I feel a lot better. Our clients feel a lot better. You know, we made it through the summer. So anyway, I'll leave it up to open to questions, Taylor. So I don't know if we have any questions.
Yeah, a couple questions came through. We'll just answer the one that Eric just posted. Do the ask results show up in your GA?
The what?
It's in the chat here. Do your ask results show up in your GA?
You know, it doesn't show up as an ask result, but if you see, what we've noticed is if your content shows up in asks, usually your traffic number spikes up right away. So if you go to Search Console or into Google Analytics and you look at by content and you look at a particular page, and if it's answering if it's answering a particular question and you all of a sudden see a surge in traffic, usually that has meant that it shows up in your ask section of Google or some of those snippet areas that you have. That's the only way that we've been able to tell that it shows up there.
Some keyword trackers, depending upon which ones you use, third party, of course, not Google Analytics related, but like Ahrefs and things like that will actually give you like where the keyword that you're ranking, where you were ranking, like whether you were on a map or on an ask result or that kind of thing. So if you want that kind of data, you might have to go to a third party source.
That's a good point. That was April, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's a good point, April. We do have a way of seeing on the back end from some of these third party. They do give you a pretty long list of where things are showing up. So yeah, that's a good point.
Excellent. And I got two similar questions that kind of came through. Although we never know when the updates are going to happen or exactly what kind of updates are going to happen, is there a possibility to anticipate a core update and prepare in advance, or are there any best practices that a company could follow to protect themselves, when these big updates happen?
Well, that's kind of like the Coke formula, new Coke came, nobody knew. But I don't know that there is. I mean, we keep track of any announcements coming out of the industry and trying to see. I know that we knew about the June core update coming out. We didn't know what it entailed. Unless Ashley, did you know? I know you were telling me about it, or at least somebody on our team was. I know that we were anticipating the June core update, but there was really no insight into what that could entail. So there really is not a way to say, oh, you know what, this is coming, this is what's going to happen. I think even knowing that the June core update was going to happen, we honestly did not anticipate a 30% drop in traffic for one of our clients. And so core updates happen like last year. I don't know that we saw a big change, but so yeah, there really isn't a mechanism that I know of that allows you to anticipate, adjust, and also plan for something that's about to happen.
There's no resource that people should be following to get the updates. It's really going to be watch to see what happens and pay attention to your analytics. Is that correct?
Yeah, and pay attention to your analytics. Search Engine Journal usually does a good job of publishing any updates and things like that. So we do subscribe to that. We've got some third-party tools that we have subscriptions to that focus on the analytics side. So we do hear noise in the industry as to what's happening and some of the things that could be coming down the pipe. But in terms of specifics, it's really hard to know. And in the past, I mean, some of these core updates have been so specific. I know there was one time when they were targeting aggregators and only aggregators. And then there was a time when they were targeting specific industries. So it's not always, your industry may not be impacted by it. Like even this update, I would say that most of the sites that were impacted for us were loosely medical related, and then ones that were very high traffic sites. So I think they also target ones that were maybe, which they seem to see as maybe dominating or seem to be maybe really over optimized. There is such a thing as over optimization. If you do over optimize a site, I think they do figure that out as well. So you got to stay within that horribly under optimized and overly optimized. You got to try to stay a little bit in that band to not really be impacted by it. And you can tell an over optimized site. We have clients that will tell us when we're redoing a website that, oh, when you redo the website, can you make sure that it doesn't say location, name, service all over the place, because that's an over optimized site, like, right? Every headline, every footer has that. And so it's over optimized. So I think they do keep track of that. So I think some of the ones that were impacted, I think if you're over optimized, perhaps you might want to, start to, because they are on record saying that as much as they want their search experience, they also want the human experience to be very powerful as well. So if you're reading a website, sometimes I run into this. I've been researching. I was fixing a lawnmower part early in the spring, and what I noticed is if I did a search for a particular lawnmower part or how to fix it, and I typed that question in, some of the blog posts that I was reading had that phrase. And maybe it's because I'm in the industry, so I kind of pick it up a little bit. It's like every first paragraph. The first paragraph had that same sentence. The middle paragraph had that same sentence. The footer had the same sentence. It's like, whoa, these guys are over optimizing it, right? So I know Matt Cutts way back in used to say in his video presentations, he's the search guy. I don't know if it's him anymore. I think it's Danny Sullivan, but he used to say, as much as you keep an eye on the search bot, they try to prioritize the human experience so that the person reading the article after a search query feels like they're really getting a good experience out of it, right? And so we have to keep that in mind as well. So I think if you're over optimized and you're overdoing it, you might be doing everything by the book, but if you're overdoing it, I would think at some point these core updates are going to kind of come to catch up with you a little bit, and you're going to start to see some changes in your traffic and things like that. So I would say that's something to kind of keep in mind.
Excellent. And we have questions in here wondering, what are some of your favorite SEO tools to use? Do you have any favorite third-party SEO tools that you like using?
I think April's given a couple in the, we used to use Moz a while back. Moz is fantastic. They have a lot of free tools that they offer as well. And they do have like a single site plan, agency plans, enterprise plans, and things like that. They've always been, I've followed Moz's blog for well over a decade in terms of just learning. They make it very understandable. I know he used to do the Friday whiteboard and things like that, and just kind of go over things. That's always very, very useful. SEM Rush is also another one that we use. We did evaluate Ahrefs, which is the link code, which how do you pronounce that, April? Hrefs.
Yeah, Ahrefs.
Ahrefs. It's the HTML for the link. So that's
Throw in some links for Ahrefs and SEM.
Is that the one that you guys use, April? Can you speak to that one maybe? Because we use SEM Rush.
So I've got experience with these three: Ahrefs, SEM Rush, and seranking.com. SE ranking is more of a lower end, more accessible price range wise for some of my smaller clients. But Ahrefs and SEM Rush, if you're going to get a membership for them, you're looking at probably around $200 a month. So it's expensive, but if you're in the world of SEO, having that data and being able to really dig in. Another one that people really like to use for keyword research is Uber Suggest by Neil Patel.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
It's a nice little tool for what it is. So I'll throw some additional links in chat.
Yeah, and I know, Ashley, you've used some extensions as well. I don't know if you've got your microphone muted or if you feel comfortable sharing, but I know that you have some Google Chrome extensions that you use as well.
Yeah, I just unmuted myself. I will not share my face with you guys, but yeah, Keywords Everywhere is my favorite extension for Google Chrome, or it works on Firefox as well. And what it does is you can type in a search term and it will, on the right-hand side, a box will appear of other keywords that people will use that are related to that keyword. And then for each search engine result, it will show you what that page is ranking for. So you can go and click and see what is this number 1, number 2, number 3 result on this page ranking for. And oftentimes the top one is ranking for maybe 70, 80 keywords, so that is an ideal world. But you can kind of see like, oh, what are my opportunities here? And then if you have a paid tool, so this tool you'd have to pay in order to see what the search volume for these keywords are. But if you have a paid tool, then you can go in and kind of do some deeper research, see what is the search volume for these terms and such. So I kind of like that tool a lot as well, and it's free.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I know that you have a lot of experience with both SEM Rush and Moz. So I want to see, do you have any feedback in terms of one versus the other, or any kind of pros and cons, or what one, in terms of what one does better than the other?
Sure. It's been, I guess, like at least a year and a half since we switched from Moz to SEM Rush. I've been with New Line Digital for about 3.5, 4 years now. So Shailesh and I have worked closely together, but I prefer SEM Rush definitely for its keyword tool. I like the way that its dashboard is and its interface is. It's very easy to see if you're also doing paid media, what cost per click is as well. So I kind of like the dashboard and just the visibility that SEM Rush offers. I can't even really compare it that much to Moz anymore because I'm not recalling the features of Moz, and they certainly could have changed in a year and a half. But I like to do keyword research first in Google, honestly, and then I will take what I find there and like what other people ask, things like that, my free tools, and then I'll go to my paid tool and I'll find the data there, like what is the actual search volume, what is the keyword difficulty, because you want to think about that as well, especially if you're blogging. not choosing keywords that are impossible to rank for, choose a longer tail keyword that the search difficulty is way lower and you could actually rank for, actually get some visibility for. So those are some things to think about too.
Yeah, and I think I've used the Neil Patel's free, although I think my IP might have gotten banned because I ran too many queries. But Neil Patel does have a free resource online that you can use to really do a quick analysis on a website, and I've used that from time to time as well. So that's also a good resource as well.
Yeah, Shailesh, I went ahead and put that in the chat. So
Oh, you did? Okay.
your suggestions.
So the reason I threw that out there was I was just reading, because I'm SEMrush as well, and I was contemplating, do I go back, because I used Moz back in the day as well, and I was doing some research, and a lot of the stuff I was finding was feeling that Moz has not been updating, and their backlink tool is not very accurate, and their keyword, SEMrush's keyword was just much stronger now, because Moz used to be like the total shit.
Yeah, well, I think what happened is when Rand Fishkin stepped down as CEO, it changed the company,
Yeah. So I was just curious if anyone was still using it, because like I say, I used to, and I was contemplating going back, and you guys just validated not to.
Yeah, I think we switched, like Ashley said, a year and a half ago, and one of the primary reasons was the keyword tool, I believe. I don't know if I'm remembering it correctly, but with just the in-depth analysis and also being able to track a lot of there's a lot of parameters that they give you, like the placement and things like that as well in their industry, in the search results. Also, there's also the industry overall analysis and overall views that I feel like, I think the newsletters that come out of SEMrush has more in-depth information, but also just keeping, I think in terms of the industry, I think somebody was asking about the industry, Search Engine Journal is at least my go-to, and I think we have a paid subscription to one of their, I think it's Search Engine Journal or one of the search engine people, that they send out a pretty in-depth newsletter once a month. It's not that expensive. I think it's $29 a month. It's definitely worth it. It's a newsletter that comes out, just lots of industry stuff happening. I know that our team gets it and finds great value out of it. So those are the kind of, going back to Taylor's original question, or at least somebody's original question of how do you anticipate these things? I think that's the only way you can anticipate it, is keeping track of what industry people are saying and what could potentially happen.
Yeah, I second SEJ, and I put a link in chat for that as well, because if you're gonna stay on top of this and you're gonna be like, okay, what's coming up next,
Yeah, that's the go-to there. So okay, so I don't know if there's any other questions or if there's anything else that we missed. Did I miss anything, Ashley, in terms of the core update or anything? I was going off of some of the internal emails here and trying to consolidate.
I don't know if you missed anything, but what stands out to me in what Google has been doing with all of the different features they're adding to their SERPs is that once upon a time, if you ranked in the top 10, you could rank on page 1. These days, you have to rank in the top 6 in order really to guarantee your ranking on page 1, because there's all the ads, there's the map pack, there's the shopping, there's all of these things that are fighting for that space, and it's just like shrinking organic results. So that's an interesting thing as well. And then another thing I was just thinking as you were talking, like SEO really, to me, it's more of an art than a science. Like you can't there's no equation really. You kind of have to just play with it. You kind of have to feel it out. Every industry is very different, obviously. And so just keeping that in mind too.
Yeah.
So before we go, I'm going to throw one at April again. Rank Math or Yoast?
Yoast.
Yeah.
Now Rank Math I haven't heard of, so if you have
You haven't? For the
Yeah,
just different plugin rather than
oh no, Yoast will, Yoast recently got acquired, but as long as they keep up with what they're doing, I would say Yoast all the way.
We use Yoast as well. I haven't heard of the other one either.
Yeah,
Really?
Yoast is I don't, sometimes you come across a product and you go, do you ever need to think of a second one? I think Yoast is one of those, it's like, you use it, it works so well.
Can't beat the green light.
It's like,
I think I just got so tired of them always telling me like I was doing something wrong, and I'm like, no, I mean to do that.
yeah, you do
Kind
have
of thing.
to.
It's
To Ashley's point, it is an art. I did have a
Right.
client about 10, 12 years ago accuse me of doing voodoo. And when I talked about SEO, they said, you sound like you're doing voodoo. I mean, it's not voodoo. It's still, there is still a science part of it, but
well, I'm banned at my work from talking about SEO because I was pulled in because one of the owner docs confused ads with organic search. And so I went into an SEO thing, and it took me 45 minutes. And if you want to see doctors' eyes glaze over,
yeah.
talk about SEO for 45 minutes. I was having a great time. And then after the meeting, my CEO was like, you can never talk SEO again. So
Yeah. And it's one of those things that I would second that, there is less space on the, organic search engine side of things, but what you can say is that I think that, the variety that they're providing us now, as far as a search page, as far as a user experience, is definitely improved over the years. And it does give us an opportunity to maybe rise above the fold in like map pack, which makes things like getting Google reviews very important, because to get into that map pack, you need to have, 4+ stars usually, and so that, leads to good quality service and good reviewing and things like that. So, it's a matter of continuing to empower people to be conscious about their buying decisions and the education that Google really provides when we do a Google search.
That's a good point, April. I got into a little bit of a I don't know, I don't want the government to track me mindset. So I kind of bought into the DuckDuckGo thing. So if you see somebody coming to your site from DuckDuckGo, that's me. So I switched to DuckDuckGo I switched to DuckDuckGo on Firefox on my iPhone, and I tried it out for a couple of months. And let me tell you, the Google search experience is so ingrained in my brain in terms of recommendations, in terms of reviews, in terms of them knowing your location and giving you the most relevant, that it was not worth it for me to switch over like that. I'm like, okay, you can have my privacy, you can have my location info, but that search experience is so, they've elevated it to such a high level that when you make that kind of switch, you really do miss it. Like, going back to my sprinkler examples.
Make that call of like, okay, do I want personalized marketing or not? Because that's, do you want, ads for babies, even though you don't have a kid? Do you want, or do you want, the most recent things you just searched for because you are on the prowl for a new bike?
Right.
It really is experientially better. And I know we all don't want to live in Minority Report, where, he's going down the hallway and like, they're like, would you like a Mr. I don't think we ever want to get that far as what they know about me and how they can target me. I think it scares a lot of people, but I also say that, if you can't have both, you can't have a personalized experience and yet no privacy concerns.
Right.
It won't work.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think and that also makes it tricky for us as marketers, to be honest with you, because a lot of times, especially we get a new client and then they're like, well, we can't find our business in our search results, or I'm seeing this, I'm seeing my competitor. Why is my competitor over you? Well, if you're spending a lot of time on your competitor sites and you're clicking a lot on their ads and Google probably thinks you're interested in them more than your own company. So your ranking is going to be higher than yours. It's so personalized on your browser, your history, your location, that really that number one ranking that number is becoming more and more hard to quantify and to say this is what causes it to be number one, or this is what causes you to be in the search engine page on the first 6, so you're in the first page, so there's a lot of factors there, and I think it makes our our marketing strategy, our SEO strategy, that first part of that diagram I was showing you, understanding your audience, what your goals are, and keeping an eye on your analytics, that much more important, because you can't really deliver that content to them and make it relevant without really understanding that. And I think we see that all the time. So.
Well, such a great presentation. Thanks everyone for joining in.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm sure we'll need to reconvene when we have our next core update so that we can determine how we should react to that one.
Absolutely.
And I'm Karen Culver. I'm stepping in to close out today. We have a couple of upcoming events, and we hope to see you there. On October 14th, we will have Cheryl James, the Chief Customer Officer at CL James Consulting. And that topic will be where customer experience and customer loyalty intersect. It's pretty intriguing. I'm looking forward to that. October 14th at 3 o'clock. And October 27th, we will have Lon Safko, the cool guy at Innovation Thinking, LLC. He's responsible for the Social Media Bible. Perhaps you're familiar with that. And his topic will be fusion marketing and next generation marketing. October 27th at 11:30. And we'd like to thank our sponsors one more time. We cannot be doing this if it were not for you, especially Taylor Wellman. If you have any needs for video services, please contact Taylor. She and her company do an excellent job, and you'd be well served by them. And also thank you to our supporters. I noticed that we have one missing here. These are the companies that employ our board members primarily, and we have missed out on Banner Health. So we need to add that one in. For those of you from Banner Health, Chris is a very valuable member of our board as well. So thank you to our supporters, and thanks to all of you. I look forward to seeing you on October 14th.
Great. Thank you, guys. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shailesh. You're wonderful. So much great information. I'm going to have to.
Yeah, thank you.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah,
Oh my
thank
God.
you so much.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.